Hi, I'm Hector Del Castillo, Chief Product Officer at Byond, and it's a pleasure for me to be here, be part of this BYOB Bootcamp, the Break Through Your Own Barriers Bootcamp, and provide this particular section that will help you shape a powerful and authentic professional elevator pitch. I want to thank Vinita Sahajwala, who is president of Win Styles, for putting together this great bootcamp and for also inviting me to be part of this special event. This section will spend the next few minutes actually talking about something that is, I think, a missed opportunity for most everyone that does not practice how to do this, and that is how to build a powerful elevator pitch. Imagine you're at an airport and you're traveling for business. You're on your way to a company meeting and you bump into someone at the gate when you're waiting for your flight, and it appears this person might be someone important. You're not really quite sure, and you don't really know how to approach that person. By the time you start considering how you're going to introduce yourself and kind of figure out how to connect with that person, your flight is called and now you are actually lining up and you missed that opportunity. So what is it that you can do to actually start maximizing on some of these opportunities to connect with people and meeting them for the first time and ensuring that you have something that you can follow up on? That is really the purpose of today's discussion, is to help you build a powerful elevator pitch. So what we'll be discussing is, number one, why you should build your own professional elevator pitch and why should you have something prepared, how to make an initial connection with someone you're meeting for the first time, and we're going to talk about a particular structure, which is 4 steps to build a powerful elevator pitch. Now, I want to point out that there are plenty of different ways that you can actually shape an elevator pitch, and there are multiple references. I find that this particular 4-step process and approach that we're going to be discussing is actually very simple and easy to follow, and I would highly recommend that you start with this and then you can move on to other methods if you have a need to do so. I also want to point out that this particular method is actually something that I actually bumped into from a leading author that is part of LinkedIn Learning, and there's a whole video series about this, so you can actually get more perspective from Todd Dewitt, who is the PhD best-selling author and also LinkedIn speaker, and LinkedIn Learning has a video course available on how to do this. What I've done is I actually have given you my approach to developing my own following the same 4 steps, and we'll be discussing this today, and we'll talking about some tips and some pitfalls to avoid in order to ensure that you are making a lasting first impression when meeting someone new. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to talk about, number 1, why is it important to build an elevator pitch? And we're going to talk about 5 reasons why you should consider doing this for yourself in order to actually create an authentic, genuine personal brand and also begin establishing a powerful executive presence. So 5 benefits of crafting a powerful elevator pitch. Number 1, you want to be able to expand your network. Often you find that it's not only about the expertise and the experience and the knowledge that you've gained over time, it's also about who you know that might actually lead you to open up doors that lead to your next opportunity. And whether you're looking for your next promotion or you're looking to get into the next level within your own company, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes you need to start doing this either inside within your company or often outside of your company as well. Especially when you're working for a large company that has thousands, maybe tens of thousands of employees around the world, and you might be meeting other people in other functions within your business. Often you want to make sure that you can start creating these opportunities, whether they're within your company or also outside of your company. Expanding your network is number 1. Number 2, you want to be able to define your professional identity. Make sure that everybody's clear as to who you are, what you do, and what are the strengths of your expertise. Number 3, get feedback about your goals. Because sometimes you might be engaging with somebody who might be a coach or a mentor, even if it's an informal mentor, and you want to be able to at least get feedback about your goals and objectives to figure out what exactly do you need to do to continue to improve yourself and your brand, and also strengthen your position as an executive, or establishing a stronger, more powerful executive presence. So the next one is opens up opportunities. You really don't know when you're meeting somebody new whether that person might be able to lead you to your next opportunity. And because you don't want to miss on those opportunities, you want to make sure you're well prepared and you are coming in as being someone knowledgeable and also has a strong reputation so that they can actually follow up with you. And then number 5 is really about making lasting first impressions when meeting someone new. And especially when it comes to in a professional environment, in a business environment, you want to be able to maximize those opportunities. And think about that what you're really doing when you're actually deploying this is you're actually planting seeds as you're meeting new people. And sometimes you really don't know whether those seeds are going to fall on good, fertile ground or on bad ground. But you need to at least make sure that whatever seeds you're planting are very strong and can stand the test of time. And that's why you want to be able to create your elevator pitch, because you're planting a seed in somebody's mind to make sure that whenever they need your expertise, they clearly understand exactly the value proposition, the unique value proposition that you are offering to them when they need some help or your expertise. So now that we talked about these 5 reasons, now let's talk about how do you go about making an initial connection. And then we spoke earlier that there's a 4-step process that we're going to go through. Here's kind of like some of the steps, the basic steps as to how you can go about ensuring that when you're meeting somebody new, you're making a great initial connection. Not just meet them, but actually look for opportunities to connect with them in different ways. Professionally, personally, the more things, common grounds that you find, the more able you're going to be able to follow up in different ways to at least connect and stay connected and nurture those new relationships if it's something that is something that you want to focus on. So we're going to talk about 3 things. Number 1, inform, help, and relate. So inform. Inform is really about informing the other person that you're meeting who you are as a professional, where you've been, and how long have you been doing this, as well as where you're going next. The simple step that says who you are as a professional, what have you been doing, and what are you doing today, and where are you going next. Number 2, look for opportunities to help. Networking, and when you're meeting somebody new, the best way that you can actually make a great first impression is that you're looking for opportunities to help the person that you just meeting, especially when you can very easily either recommend a book or an article or a blog or a website based on whatever their needs are, and maybe possibly introduce them to someone in your network that at either a personal level or professional level, they actually can benefit based on your assessment of where they are and what they need based on their needs. The more of the opportunities to look for help to help them, and your approach will be to help them first, they will remember you for a long time, and they in their minds they will feel at some point that they owe you something back. And that is a great way. Helping others is the number 1 thing that you should be focusing on in assessing. As soon as you're meeting them, figure out how it is that you can easily help them and connect them with someone, or refer them to something that gives them some additional knowledge or expertise that they're looking for. And then number 3, look for additional opportunities to relate. And outside of the business environment or professional environments, or even the type of work that you do, look for common things, common ground, like sports or athletes that you're following. Talk about parenting and children and the challenges of being a parent, And also, maybe talk about hobbies, something that you enjoy doing, and that maybe you may have some hobbies in common, as well as maybe even discuss some possible past professional experiences that are common, and now you have a additional strings that you can start creating a web of how you can connect with that person in multiple ways. The more different things that you can do to relate to somebody, the better and stronger that connection will be, especially when you're meeting somebody new. So here's an example. I spoke about earlier the discussion that we had, somebody at an airport waiting for their flight, and then bumped into someone who might be someone that they're interested in meeting, and then just missed the opportunity because they really know what to say. So in this case, we're going to go through a different scenario, and actually a friend of mine, we're having lunch, and I actually had invited another friend of mine, and here's the way that my friend presented to himself in front of this manager who I had also invited to this informal lunch discussion. We were just chatting, bumped into each other, and we actually agreed that we were going to have lunch together. So when I introduced my friend to the manager that just happened to be there, and I actually just invited to join us for lunch, here's what he said. I'm a software developer. I write a lot of code. I worked at Deloitte for a few years, but jumped to MetLife, one of their clients, and I've been working with them, mostly supporting their home insurance products. I love the work, but I've begun to think about the big picture, so I'm looking for opportunities to move into a management role. Now, if you look at this, it's pretty simple, it's easy to understand, it's distinctive, high level, doesn't get into a lot of details, but at least it gives enough information to the manager who joined us for lunch to at least know that this person is within our company and now looking for opportunities to get into a management position. Who knows if that person might know of an opening in management within the company? Who knows if the manager will be able to maybe refer him to somebody else who might be in need of a manager within the company or outside the company. At least it's clear what my friend's role is, what he's been doing, where he's been, and where he's going next. Those are the three things that you want to do when you're meeting somebody new. So let's talk about following this 4-step approach on how to help you craft a very similar statement about you that is genuine, that is distinctive, simple, and easy to follow, so that people can remember who you are, what you do, and where you're going next. And that is the 4-step process on how to craft a powerful elevator pitch. So here it is. The structure is, number 1, come up with a summary label describing who you are as a professional, and also state your professional background. And number 3, what is your current position, your current situation? Which function, department are you at? Who do you interact with on an ongoing basis? And number 3 would be about where are you going next? That is the 4th step, describing what is next for you based on where you are today. If you follow the process, this 4-step approach, you can follow in order. So you will start with number 1, choose a summary label. Now, many people often struggle, especially those of you who have never done this before, because you might look and say, well, I really don't have anything to offer. Well, that's not really true. If you really start focusing on what you've been doing for the last few years, even if you are a brand new employee within the organization, you can focus on establishing your education, your credentials, any certifications, and why you actually decided to go through that program, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree or a certification, what actually drove you to actually obtain those hard skills that you can then present, especially when you have very little experience. Now, those of us who have lots of experience, you might be in a different situation because you've done so many things that it's hard for you to pick one summary label that summarizes what you've done. And often the struggle would be that you have to often assess what you've been doing for the last few years, how many different positions you've had, the title of those positions, and then the main responsibilities and outcomes, results that you've achieved, and then figure out what is the best summary label for that. And it should be either a phrase, 2 or 3 words that summarizes who you are. In the previous case, I mentioned my friend who's a software developer stated just that. I'm a software developer. Now, if he wants to get into a management position and he knows that he still wants to stay leading people who write lots of code, maybe he says, as where he's going next, that he's maybe looking at the possibility of becoming a software development manager, which is a title in many cases. So that can be his possible label saying, where I'm going next is I'm actually looking into coming into a software development manager position within a company. That is how you would come up with a summary label. And often it requires maybe a little bit of thought, but once you have come up with something, then you can actually expose that. We're going to actually go through the process for the way that I develop myself. And when I look at the assessment of my experience, I've had over 20 years of experience. And the titles that I've had have been from a beginning to the most recent, has been in reverse chronological order, has been Chief Product Officer, Chief Technology Officer, Senior Product Manager, Product Manager. All those are different titles that I've had in different positions over a period of the last 20 years. And there's also a Director of Program Development or Business Development. So there's 5 different titles, and that's my assessment. I need to pick one and only one summary label. And the one that I have actually selected for myself is Product Executive. You can go through a very similar process to figure out what your summary label is. And sometimes you need to do a lot of A/B testing. You pick one and you maybe pick 2 of them, and now you need to test and see which one gives you the best reaction. Because number one, remember the rules for developing something is that it's got to be simple and easy to follow. But you also want to make sure that whatever summary label you're selecting, it is easy to understand for somebody to say what you do. Number 2, write one sentence describing where you've been. Well, that one sentence could be describing very briefly in that one sentence your years of experience, the type of departments that you've been working with, and maybe describe at a high level the type of companies or a list of the major companies where you have been working at. It could be one company, it could be several companies. You decide what that is. In my case, for the last 20 years, I've had different titles in different types of companies. The common denominator has been these companies have all been either technology or software companies, and they have some sort of world-class offering that they're selling in the marketplace. And many of these companies have tended to be B2B enterprise vendors. In other words, they're selling offerings to other businesses and often targeting multiple industrial sectors in addition to different types of businesses within those sectors. So that's one sentence describing, one very short sentence, easy to follow, that describes where you have been. Number 3, write one sentence saying where you are currently in your role. And what that really means is like, what department are you in? Who do you interact with in an ongoing basis? What are some of the things that, what is the one thing you love about what you're doing today? And then maybe saying, I'm missing something else, and this is why I'm looking for a different type of opportunity or something new for me. And it could be something new into perhaps a different technology that you want to work with, or perhaps it can be in a different industry or market, or perhaps it is about servicing a different set of customers. When you have all these different choices, you decide what is it that you are focusing on, and then figure out from there what is the one thing that you're missing that you would love to get in your next position. Number 4, add a brief sentence about where you are going next. And when I looked at the previous example, we talked about software developer has been working for now a company that is supporting home insurance products, and now they're looking to actually jump into something different that is maybe more management and maybe maybe managing a different type of product, still within the financial services or insurance industry. Who knows? This is something that you want to maybe have thought about already, to make sure that it's clear to you where you want to go next. And also, it would be useful if you can actually ensure that wherever it is that you're looking for to go next, that there are plenty of opportunities right now to actually increase the probability that you can actually make a move sooner rather than later. So here's another example. Another introduction, and this particular person happened to be at a networking event, meeting a person, and when they introduce themselves, this is the way that they actually introduce themselves. My background is in manufacturing, mostly automotive. Right now, I'm a general manager at Johnson Electric, a provider of motors, actuators, sensors, and other components for automotive. I love being in the shop, seeing things being created, but eventually hope to move into an executive role. So there you go. 15, 20 seconds to deliver that short paragraph. And very clearly he stated he's been in manufacturing. He's stating the type of manufacturing, automotive manufacturing, the company that he's been working for as a general manager, the types of offerings that they have, and what he loves about his job, and now his next desire, which is where to go next, going from being a general manager to becoming an executive within a company. All of that in 15 to 20 seconds. So let's take a look at how to start putting together this integration and actually follow my approach. I mentioned earlier that the summary label that I had selected was that of a product executive. I also mentioned that I've been in different companies. I also mentioned that I've been in different roles within that time span, and all within managing and marketing of products. So here's my statement. I'm a product executive who helps client companies grow faster than their competition. I've worked with a variety of companies ranging in size and revenue from large to small. I love my work because I get to inspire high-performing leaders and teams within organizations. I'm looking for a technology or software company that wants to change the world and is funded for growth. That's the structure, following the same structure. That is my pitch. And I would say in delivering this pitch, you can actually do this and practice it. You can practice it in front of a mirror. You can also take a video, and actually once you have done several takes, you will find that you actually have done this in a very natural way, and you can now record your own video, which is what I've done. And actually you can start looking at this, and this video ended up being a little bit over half a minute long, because I added a few things at the very beginning and also at the end, besides the elevator pitch. But this kind of gives you an example, and actually you can view this on your own. I will provide you a link where you can actually view this and be able to review this information, that following the same structure, how this creates a seed to start creating an entire message platform about yourself and where you're going next. I want to actually tell you about that once you have decided this, delivering it requires practice, and then make sure that you are following it up with some sort of hook at the end, because in really meeting somebody new, the way that you're going to find ways to make a lasting first impression is to find multiple ways that you can relate and connect, so that you can then continue building and nurturing that relationship, especially if it's someone that actually could help you at some point. So focusing on making a great connection requires that once you have delivered your pitch, you can figure out what is that hook that you're going to introduce. And that hook could be about asking them about their work, their professional life. What are the things they like? What are the things they don't like? Find out where are they going next, and where do they need help, and provide anything that you can provide, whether it's introduction to somebody that you know already in your network, or refer them to some sort of resource, a book, an article, a blog, a website. Maybe provide some additional information based on what you know, and make sure you know your audience. In my case, my targets are client companies. And specifically within client companies, I'm actually targeting executives, senior managers, and leaders within companies that may need help in figuring out how to achieve fast growth. So I focus a lot on putting together personas based on who my prospects are, and I have usually multiple ways that I can present myself based on who I'm talking to. I'm changing the message slightly when I'm presenting myself to an executive or a business owner directly, because those are my direct buyers. Maybe slightly different when I'm talking to another senior executive or manager within the company. And often, if they're in a leadership position within a company that might be a client company at some point, I simply state what I do and the value proposition and how I can help remove many of the challenges that they discuss when they tell me about their current position, their company, and some of the challenges that they're having. The other thing is you want to be able to be proactive. Look for opportunities to connect. Look for ways that you can help as much as you can in different ways to ensure that you are making a lasting connection, and that not only are you making a great first impression, that you're looking for opportunities to build and nurture that relationship when you know that the person can be a likely target that can either refer you to a future position or can themselves be an actual prospect that are making a buy decision to actually hire you when they need your help. So I hope that this actually gives you an example and you can actually start using this method and using this particular video to actually create your own powerful, authentic elevator pitch. If you need help, reach out to me. Here's my contact information. You can either contact me via email or connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on Twitter, or you can visit also my website and request a brief call to discuss how I can help you, because I'll be glad to at least point you in the right direction if you want feedback about your professional elevator pitch. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to hear from you soon.